people see Alvaro today and they think like, yeah, he's got it all. Dude, I work so hard and it's never going to stop. Like I gotta go through this. If I retire, I retire, but I look into that when I get there. Right now that I worry about what I'm doing. I always say, the higher you are, the harder the fall.
Yeah.
And I thought I was at the highest at the moment. And when everything started to happen, I didn't see it coming the way it came.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Success in South Florida podcast. I'm your host, Adam Rossen. And on today's episode, I'm very excited. We have Alvaro Freites. And Alvaro, I know you do a ton of different really cool things. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I think this is a great thing. I've been listening to your material. It's great. Love it. Well, my name is Alvaro Freites. I'm a contractor. I live here in South Florida. I've been here my whole U.S. life. I've been here for 30 years. I was born in Venezuela. Came here when I was 16. Finished high school, started a college. I figured it wasn't going to be my thing. And I started working in the construction industry. And that pretty much, if you want to fast forward 30 years, this has been
so here you are now, right?
Yeah.
So I do want to go back a little bit because I think there's a big, look, I was born and raised here, but I think there's a big difference in maybe coming to the United States at, between 5 and 8 years old, and then coming when you're already 16, you're a teenager, you're already in high school. So what was that experience like coming here as a teenager, going right into high school, and how did you adjust?
I like to think about the answer because it was so fast. We used to come here a lot. My dad actually came to the States when he was 8. At the time his dad passed, that he was sent to Philadelphia. So he always wanted to come back here. He was sent back, when he was probably 10, 11. Met the woman of his dreams, my mom, and said, let's just get out of here. Let's go to the States. Never happened until we were 16. But in between, we came here a lot. We were sent to a school, a British school, so we kind of knew a little bit about the language. Okay. But to be honest with you, if I think about it hard, friendships, I didn't have my friends anymore. I had to make new friends. So I want to say my personality probably changed a little bit because, I had to adjust. Right. This is a different lifestyle. It's the American dream. It's a different country. But I think I want to say I did all right, but yeah, it probably, I have to think about it. But the question is really deep for me to give you an exact answer for that. You know what I mean?
No, I
don't know if it did change completely who I should have been or not, but yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously you adapted well, and it's never a perfect curve up. I'm sure there's always good and there's good, there's bad, there's never what we do at our firm, right? We deal with good people and bad things happen. So we're experts in bumps in the road. But you come here when you're 16. All right, you go through high school. You said you started off at college. Mm-hmm. You realized that kind of really wasn't the path for you.
Yeah, I mean, to get a little personal about it, we had this visa. It was costing a lot of money. I don't want to say I'm a dumb guy because I'm not, but books wasn't my thing at that moment. So, my dad said, listen, if you want to just figure it out, I was 18, 19 years old. If you want to figure it out for a year and then we address this again, that's fine. Let's do it that way. And then, that's what we did. But I just never went back.
Right. Well, and I think that's really important to talk about because, as we talk here, right, I've had the great fortune of interviewing so many successful people. And we have some people that are lawyers and doctors and different things and, very highly educated and successful. But we've also had some people that you don't have to be highly educated to be successful, especially in today's day and age. I think just the United States has pushed too many people into college that should never have gone to college. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money for some people. So it's not even about being smart or dumb at all, because books, books are books, right? Learning that's just one way to learn. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, there's no way I can do what you do ever. Okay. I am terrible with that. Oh yeah. I'm terrible with those things. Okay. And I know that, and that, and it's just, I definitely want to clear up that misconception, but I think it's important for everybody here, though, to focus on, you don't have to go all the way, I agree, right through school, because there's a lot of other ways that you can be successful. So let's take us through this journey. So you're there and you're saying, look, this might not be for me. So you took a year off, and how did you kind of find yourself and find your way?
Well, pretty much at that moment, if I go back in memory lane, and I remember that my older brother had just finished college back home in Venezuela. So he got offered a job as a tile installer, and he just went with it, right? And so at that moment, I said, "Listen, I think no, actually no, I got a job in a dry cleaner in Hollywood, but I was working at the dry cleaner in Hollywood while going to college, but I was still in it." And then my brother told me, "Listen, there's a chance for you to come in, and just you make a few extra bucks instead of where you are." I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Let's just do it." Maybe I should go back a little bit, because I think this has always been in the back of my head. As a little child, I used to play with, cereal boxes and make little houses and little beds and things of that nature. And I always thought I would be an architect. That's what I always thought. So I just wanted to put that in, because it was always in the back of my head. But yeah, going back to how I started, that's pretty much how I started, in the flooring industry. And I stayed in it for about, I want to say 10, 15 years. And that's all I did all the way up to 2007, when everything pretty much collapsed.
Right. I remember that. I was a young prosecutor, and actually I started my law firm. I started this firm in 2008, and I didn't really know better. Exactly. Well, I was too dumb to fail. I was 26, wasn't used to making a lot of money anyway, so I had nothing to lose. Right. But in a way, I didn't think it through. I didn't know there was a big recession that was coming either. But yeah, it all worked out, because I think I just, again, a little bit of dumb luck and right. Timing goes. But you're right. Well, as far as even that, like the tiles, and seeing how, as a kid, you were good with building. Right. To give you an example, I was never good with Legos, never good in creative in that aspect. And my 5-year-old, he is so good with the magnet tiles and the blocks and Legos. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's things that he built. I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, it's amazing. Like, it's not me. Right. So, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. So what happened in 2007, right? Obviously the housing market crashed, the economy crashed in really in 2008, but really the housing market preceded that.
Yes. So at the time when everything happened, I had a showroom, a flooring showroom. I had grown into in the floor industry. I had put together a showroom where people could come in, buy the product from me, buy the labor from me, and be a one-stop shop. Okay. So I had my own installers. I had salespeople, and I was doing very well. 2007 happened, and I always say, the higher you are, the harder the fall. Yeah. And I thought I was at the highest at the moment. And when everything started to happen, I didn't see it coming the way it came. So I held on too tight. And that's probably the worst decision I made. But at the same time, it's probably the best decision I made, right? Because I learned through it.
Let me ask you this. So you said you held on too tight. Mm-hmm. Why? Was it because you had your installers and your people that you wanted to take care of? Was it maybe just pride and ego of saying, I'm not going to let this fail, or I can't fail? Or was it just inexperience in business?
A little bit of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I didn't want my guys to have a paycheck come in Fridays or every 15 days. I thought I was, the man, the flooring guy, the new up and coming, young dude that's coming in the flooring industry. And then I didn't know what I was doing. I was probably back in 2007. In 2007, I was, 20 years younger. Right. I didn't know what I was doing. And, from my dad at the moment and people, my peers, they were saying, you should probably look into getting rid of it now because something's coming. And I just, I just didn't see it coming that way.
Or it'll just be a bad few months. It won't be a big deal. We'll get through it.
I didn't know. Right. When you're 26, you don't know much.
Right, right. And I can tell you, I absolutely agree. So, look, I'm 43. So, at that time I was about 26 also, right? In 2006, just seven. And,
Probably a little older than
yeah, 25, 26. Yeah, somewhere around there. Right. And one of the things that I did during COVID was I looked back at some of the previous, bumps in the road, even though I wasn't necessarily in business then, or I started the firm in '08, but again, we really started from nothing. So it was a lot easier. And I just looked back and I tried to gain some wisdom from other prior experiences and what I've seen other businesses do. And luckily, at least for us, COVID, I made some pretty smart decisions. We pivoted into a lot of marketing, into a lot of other things, and that actually helped the firm grow tremendously during COVID
right.
and after. But I think if I was a little older and had the business that we were now, I don't know what I would have done in 2007, 8, and 9. I don't know. So at least you lived it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was hell. I took everything into my garage, my 2-car garage. It was such a bad experience. But I think, thank God for it also, because, it just got me, it gave me that much more wisdom in the area.
Yeah, yeah. Wisdom is so important. It's so much more, I think, important than just intelligence.
Yes, I get it a little bit now. Like when I see things coming, I'm like, okay, let's see if we can go this route now, just in case. But yeah.
So a little slow to react, little too long to hold on back then. What did you finally do and when and why and how did you get through that point?
At that moment, right?
Yeah.
So, since people knew me, I've done nothing else but what I do now. But at the moment, which is flooring. So everybody knows what I do. And I'm a social guy. So, the friends that I had, the clients that I had, I've always done good. And they knew that I was somehow handy. So they started calling me for like, hey, listen, can you paint? I got a little paint job.
Right.
Or listen, I'm replacing a faucet in my sink. Can you do that? And then little by little, I started doing these handyman things. And I was like, well, I guess I can make this work. Let's figure it out. And, I pretty much lost a whole bunch of stuff. Let's not go there. But I had to pretty much rebuild tools, truck, everything. But little by little it started to happen. And then I met this one guy that all he was doing through that time was buying houses, by like 50 houses, all in this area.
I can tell you, people get rich during recession.
Yes. This guy was one.
Right, exactly. It's all about timing and it's all right. During bad economic times, some people do exceptionally well.
Oh yes. This guy was one of them for sure. So he just told me, listen, if you wanna, just jump in, just come, and be one of the guys doing the work. And I did. And then, everything started to open up. Of course, I told him I would do, whatever, drywall, and I didn't know how to do it, but I figured it out. And then, he gave me the chance. And then, so my hands have been very involved in everything that has to do with what I do now. I'm a general contractor now. I can put together a whole house for you. Now more in the management side of it, but I know, like, if a guy is coming in to tell me, yeah, listen, yeah, we stole the floor that way because of whatever, they can't give me the excuse because I know how it is that it gets done.
Right. So how did you, so you're in survival mode at
that time. Just getting whatever I can get.
Yeah, handyman, I'll do anything.
Anything.
And again, to me, that's a lesson in grit, in toughness, in even being humble too, of just saying, look, okay, right, hard times don't last, right?
Right.
And people will get through it.
Mm-hmm.
So you get through this, you're in there now, just kind of survival. How do you become a general contractor? Obviously you have to be licensed, and start a business as we're kind of moving through the years.
Right. Well, I'm a very, grateful guy. Like I'm always giving thanks. Like I'm grateful for what I have. I was married at the time. I didn't tell you that. I got married young. I was 24. My wife at the time was 18, as bad as it sounds. Right now, we're still married. We're good. We got 3 kids. It's a beautiful life.
My wife's 9 years younger than me, but she was 24 and I was 33.
Oh, okay. All right.
But still, yeah.
All right. But anyway, so I had the support of a wife. and my dad and my mom and my mother-in-law, they were all supporting. So at the time, for me, as bad as it was, I never felt like I was under. Like I never felt like this is gonna sink at any moment. I always was very positive, and that's in me also. That's my personality, and I think it happened so fast. Like, brother, I'm telling you, I feel like that was just yesterday, and it's been 20 years. It's crazy how fast it went. And I never realized. I remember the first thing I started doing seriously was handrails and, balusters and handrails and stairs. And for me to jump into that was like, oh my God, am I really going to do that? Oh, this is going to cost whatever, a few $1,000. Oh, great. I'm going to do this. And then for the next thing to happen, then, yeah, we're going to do cabinets and we're going to do this. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I gotta get licensed. I gotta be a general contractor now. And then the next thing was like pour concrete, and then block walls, and it has happened so fast that I haven't had that moment to figure it out how it is that did you suffer? Of course I did. I can tell you 1,000 bad situations that I got myself into, but we just figure it out. And and the people around me at the time were, through the times have been great.
And that's great to have. Obviously, every successful person needs to have a support system.
Yes.
Whether it's a mentor, whether it's their family, right, their friends, anybody. It's so important to have that as you're kind of just going through. Now, how is it that as you're going through, you're still thinking about leveling up and going to them, okay, well, now I'm doing all these things, so I need to be a contractor, instead of just being a sub, instead of we're just staying kind of the status quo as, okay, I'm a handyman, I'm just a jack of all trades, or I can still just be a sub, but still, making that decision to become a licensed contractor and level up. I'm assuming get back into maybe a business, right, as opposed to just an employee or a day worker.
Right. I feel like I've always been somehow. I played a lot of sports, and the leadership in me was always there. Now that I think about it, back before the recession of 2007, there was a point before I had my showroom. Before I went that route, I had about 16 guys working for me every day, and I was probably 23, 24 at the time. And I used to do floors for labor for big stores named. I don't know if we can say them here or not, but so, I like Home Depot and and Floor & Decor. Back then was a different Floor & Decor and Flooring America and all those guys. And I was just a young dude that went knocking on their doors like, hey, listen, just give me a shot. I know I look young, whatever,
right,
but just let me do it. And I would do it for free. Listen, you got a bedroom, something like that. Let me just lay the floors and let people call you back. I remember knocking on these clients' doors, and they're seeing this kid, and they will call the store like, hey, listen, you sent me a kid here. No, he's not a kid. I mean, he's 22, but he's good. Let him come in. He's good. And then I remember those calls. I wish they happened now, but the leadership was always there. I always was a go-getter. Now that I'm talking about it, I see it that way. Mm-hmm. Working with 16 guys, most of them being older than me, and giving me that respect at that moment. I guess it grew in a way that I probably didn't realize it, but it just gave me the confidence to be okay. So they trust me. Let's do this way. And I just guess it was in me. It wasn't the calls for me. And I believe in myself so much. That's one of the things that also makes me, probably through their eyes, give them confidence. Like, yeah, he's making the right call.
So anybody listening to this can hear it's not about age, right? Doesn't matter if you're the young guy, right? You can still be a leader.
Oh, yes.
You can still work hard and hustle, right? And I'm sure you commanded the respect of people that were older than you, that had more experience than you, but it was probably because of your work ethic and your being fearless and the leadership.
Yes. And I'll add to that. I have never been, to this day, I have never been that guy that comes in and tells the guy, listen, this is what needs to be done. Good luck. Get out and go sip on a margarita at 3:00 in a bar for a lot of that. I have never been that guy. Right. I'm very social, but in a way that I always, now it's a different scenario, because now I can go sit down and network and it's a different situation, but that's work. But at the time, I had never been that guy. Up to this day, I show up and the guys, they greet me, a nice handshake, a hug. Like I've never shied away from work. And as cliche as it sounds, you just gotta put your head down and work. I've never met anybody that works hard and he's not doing great. Like it doesn't add up. If you work hard, dude, that's gonna come. Right? It's just,
Yeah, well, I can tell you for me, so I might not be going to court every day like our amazing criminal defense lawyers are all the time, but I'm not sipping on margaritas at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday either. I'm doing a lot of the other things, and sometimes I'm working 16, 17, 18-hour days. But also, I think for me, what I'm doing is fun. I like building the business. I like meeting people. I like networking. I like, the strategy behind the business growth. I still love the law. I still love what we're doing. Anytime I can hop in a meeting with our lawyers and talk strategy, I love doing that. But for me, all these other things, it doesn't seem like work. So like this right now, this is work. This is,
Right,
doing
right.
a podcast, but I'm having fun. And so, it's as long as I think you're having fun, I could work till I'm, 90, till I can't move anymore. As long as I can still think and do stuff, I'm still going to work.
You're so right. You're so right. Doing what you like, doing what you love. You hear this all the time, especially when you're a kid, but it's true because sometimes it doesn't feel like work until I get that call from my wife at 9 o'clock. Like, hey, where are you? Oh yeah, I'm still here. Let me just wrap up and I'll be home. And it happens more than I like because I'm also a family man. That's big for me. But it happens. It happens. You just get, drawn into what you're doing and you just love it so much. And
I can still even see like the camaraderie with the guys, right? So when you're there, like, yes, you're doing the networking and the business development, all these other things, but too, when you're there on a job site, having the camaraderie with the boys, right, the guys there, that's something that you probably grew up with.
Yes.
Right. That you'll never want to really leave. And just like with me, with our lawyers, I still like being involved in talking about cases and having the camaraderie. It's just, I'm not the one going to court every single day.
Right.
Anymore.
Right. I mean, it feels like in some people's eyes, that might be like, that's the dirty work. But to be honest with you, and I tell my guys all the time, sometimes they think I'm joking and we laugh about it. But I tell them not all the time, but I tell them sometimes, listen, dude, I wish all I had to do today was just paint a couple walls and lay, a few 100 feet and go home. Trust me. And they go, yeah, sure.
Right.
What I'm doing, I don't even know if I'm going to be finished today. So tomorrow, whatever the case might be, let's say tomorrow I have a soccer game at 9 and I have 3 more hours. I got to go home. It's Friday. My family is expecting me home by 6 o'clock. So let me go home. But I know I got 3 more hours in this. So I got to wake up at 4:30, do the work so I can be at 9 o'clock on the soccer field with my daughter. So it's those things that they're, it's like athletes. We all see, Stephen Curry putting in, 40 points like there's nothing. He's throwing the ball, he's walking away and he goes in, but nobody sees the 1,000 shots he's taking, practicing. It's kind of like the same. We're doing all that work behind scenes and that it's work, but the work that gets seen is the floors, the courthouse, whatever the case might be.
The Success in South Florida podcast is brought to you by the team at Rossen Law Firm. If you need DUI or criminal defense representation, call the Rossen Law Firm at 754-206-6200 or check the description of today's episode for more contact information. The Rossen Law Firm, helping good people when bad things happen so they can achieve their best futures.
Nobody sees, when Kobe Bryant would be on the road where his teammates would go out to the club and it would be 3 a.m, 4 a.m, and he'd be in the gym for game day, working out, getting up at, 500,000 shots.
Yeah.
Or now for the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler's doing that.
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, most people don't see that.
Correct.
But that's what greatness requires.
And that is such a hard thing to do, to do something that, for me, for example, practice would be putting together an estimate. Sometimes, for a big project, let's say it's a big addition to a home and a total gut and redo. For me, that might be 3 days of work. Right. And it's something that I might not get paid for. I might not get hired for it. Maybe sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks. Right. And, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I got to put in the work. I got to do it and see if, something good comes out of it.
All right. And I think the discipline that's required
Oh yeah.
To come in, day out and to do the things when you're not feeling well or when maybe you're stressed or you're worried about, all the different balancing family and your employees and the management and maybe sometimes the money and the cash flows in a business.
Empathy.
With the estimate being maybe one of the sales guys, right? Obviously. And just day in, day out, that discipline is tough for some people.
Yeah, and in our own demons, like we deal with that too. Like sometimes I don't want to work, and sometimes I don't work because I don't want to work. But I'm not making the right call, and then I go back like, you see, you should have done it. So we deal with our own demons. I'm not perfect. I'm so far away from being perfect.
Me too.
Like I mess up so much, but I still, I recognize I messed up and I gotta go back. Now I gotta do it again. Oh my God, what did I do? What number was this? Oh shoot, I gotta go back and see if I did it right. And it's just, it's no stop. And it's like people see Alvaro today and they think like, yeah, he's got it all. Dude, I work so hard and it's never gonna stop. Like I gotta go through this. If I retire, I retire, but I look into that when I get there. Right now I gotta worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think that's
The finished product.
Exactly. That's what everybody sees and thinks it's all easy. And that the mental toughness, I think, is really, there, and having that fortitude. So, all right. So now you become a general contractor, right? Let's talk about what you're doing now. What's the name of your company and what do you guys specialize?
Okay. So the name of the company is Casa Bella Design Group. It's got a cool story, and I'll say it. So when I was registering, I had one daughter at the time. Her name is Isabella. So I couldn't put together a name for the company because I didn't want to be, I had a company before that was called Labor Solutions. And before that I was built something else that I still own and I still deal with, but it didn't make sense for me because now I know I got experience, right? And now I'm going after bigger projects. So I'm thinking about it. So my daughter, we used to call her Bella, and I go, okay, so let's do something with that. Bella. And then I start thinking and I go, Casa Bella. Casa is home in Spanish, and then Bella is beautiful in Italian, or a beautiful. And then I go Casa Bella, so it makes sense. So I named it Casa Bella Design Group. So we are in Weston, that's West Broward. We have a 1,800 square foot showroom. Beautiful. It's like you're walking into a house. The reason behind that, I don't have like 20 different samples of floors, 20 different samples of kitchen cabinet. I don't do that. I just made it a finished product. And the reason I did that is because most of my clients at this level, they want to see projects or, they want to see something that's done before so they can just walk.
You can get a little 2x2 square and it doesn't really show much. They can't see the vision that you can see.
Correct.
So you have to show them.
Or they want to, feel the floor. They want to do all that. So they can walk into this and it's beautiful. And then we also have another warehouse where we store just materials. We got a couple trucks, operations happen there, my PMs. And like I said, we're in West Broward. We specialize in remodeling. So that's our niche. We do 90% of our work is remodeling. So it could be something as small as a couple bathrooms you just want to remodel, or it could be something big as a total god or an addition. An addition is pretty much a brand new build.
Right.
Yeah. And I've partnered up with new construction with other general contractors, but that's no, general contractors are like lawyers. So you might specialize in, injury law, and then some others are real estate law. So it's kind of like the same thing. So for me to go into that direction, it's kind of like a different game. It's the same, but it's different. So I'm not there yet, but at the moment we kill it in the remodeling.
Well, it's good. I think it's good to niche down too and really focus on what you guys specialize in and what you're good at. I'm sure, when you're doing a reno, there's a lot of different things than your construction, because you're coming on and you're going, all right, are we going to have mold? Yeah. What's going to be behind this wall, right? What's going to be under this floor, right? I don't know if there's piping issues, especially with older houses. So
all that.
It's right. So when, the reno game is probably a lot different, which could make it exciting, can also probably make it some frustrating at times. But it's better to be the specialist in that than just be a generalist in a bunch of different things.
Right.
Because ultimately, I think, what we do at our firm is similar to what you do. Is, part of our job is to get a great result for our client, but it's also to anticipate any of the problems or issues that are coming through. It's to say, look, client, all right, look, John, we've been through this thousands of times. This might be your first time through. So this is our strategy. This is what we're going to try to do for you. But these are the potential bumps in the road, the pitfalls, in a way like the expert tour guide in the Grand Canyon saying, don't step over there. You might fall in and die. Right. And so same thing with you guys. You may have a homeowner or maybe somebody in the last few years who moved down from the Northeast.
Right.
He came down, he bought a house in the West and is like, all right, this is a 20-year-old house now. We got it. We want to do a reno. And they've never even done a reno before. And they have no idea what to expect. And you're going to come in and go, all right, look, these are the good. This is the potential bad. Let's figure it out. Right. And you guys have that expertise.
That is exactly us. Yeah. Yep. And you couldn't have said it any better. I don't have much to add, but that's exactly how it is. Right. And to be honest with you, a new construction could be easier.
Right.
And I know this because you're doing everything new from scratch. Like you can.
My service.
Right. It's right. This, we just have a renovation going on right now in Hollywood where, I estimated a budget for electrical because it's a total gut. My budget that I put together after we opened the walls and the ceilings is probably going to be double. And I told the guy, listen, these are things that could happen. I don't foresee, this being structural, this being that. We get an engineer, an architect, and they give us a clear. But something like that some handyman at the moment came in and did wrong in the ceilings and left some boxes in electrical, that's gotta be all gone, and it's all over the house. So for him, it's an unfortunate case, but those things happen. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then of course, how do you, from a customer service standpoint, how do you break that to the client? How do you address that with them? So how do you do those things?
Well, in this case that is fresh, we addressed it the way it should be addressed. Listen, this is all gonna fail per code. So this has to be addressed. What we anticipated for the cost is to do the renovations that we're doing. Now, all of this behind what it is that we do. So there's an electrical panel and all the electricity is distributed to the house. All the way back to the electrical panel was bad. Imagine that. All the cables were bad. Like they had rodent problems. Some of them were chewed up. Some things weren't working. And, we thought we could figure it out by opening the walls, but it was just bad. And, in this case, it's very understanding because it was a chaotic case. Like it's pretty bad. Like there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
What I did also, what I did do for them, I said, listen, if this is gonna causes stress on your end, we haven't gotten to the flooring part. We haven't gotten to the couple of the walls. We haven't gotten to the kitchen cabinet part or the slabs. How about we can start saving money from here and there, maybe offset the new change order. And in this case, they said, no, we're good. Let's do it. But it's been the cases where they say, yeah, if you can start to save me money from here on, that'd be great. So that way I don't go off my budget. Right.
Okay. And that's good. And again, that comes from your experience, right? Just being able to communicate that.
Yes.
So that's great. Yeah. So you have Casa Bella now, and yes, I love the name. It's great. Now, how many children do you have?
I have 3 daughters.
Okay, so you need to have 2 more companies then for each daughter, right?
I didn't finish the story, I guess. So now it makes sense. So I have Casa Bella. My first daughter's name is Isabella. We had my second daughter's name the day my first daughter was born because me and my wife decided that she would name the first one, I would name the second one. So I had 2 names, a boy and a girl. He ended up being a girl, so her name is Gabriela. And we said, okay, so let's name it Gabriela with 2 L's. So now we have Isabella, Casabella, and Gabriela. And the third daughter ended up being Stella.
Okay.
Yeah. So got the L's.
Right.
That's where the company, yeah.
Oh, that's
So that was the whole story. I forgot to tell it.
That's really cool. That's fantastic. And so you're now, we met through our mutual friend, Seth Levitt, who was a guest on the show. Seth's the executive director of the Jason Taylor Foundation. So he was already on our podcast. He has his own podcast, with OJ McDuffie, and he does some podcast coaching and assisting kind of on the side. So that's how we met. Now, you do work with Seth as far as I know you have your own podcast.
Yes.
So talk to us about that.
Yes, we forgot to say one hell of a guy.
Yes, he is.
What a guy. Yeah, so he and I, Seth and I started working on a podcast for what it is that I do, and it's actually pretty entertaining. It's called the Renovation Revolution. Uh, Apart from having a great time with Seth putting it together, it is very entertaining because I go into the depths of the things that do happen and that we make fun out of it. Like, for instance, we were talking about an outdoor episode the other day, and I'm recommending how to place the grill in this case. If you're going to have an overhead, roof or a ceiling or a pergola or whatever the case might be, you got to be careful because if you place it in in an area that is not ventilated, you might end up with all the smoke. And it brought me back to a case where it happened in a friend's house, and we went through the whole thing, and we cracking up the whole 5 minutes because it's just smoke everywhere, and I gave him the whole scenario. But yeah, so we go into details of things that you said that you wouldn't be a good handyman because it's just not in you. But if you listen to, so you are about to renovate a bathroom and you listen to the bathroom renovation episode, you might be like, oh, wait a minute. So I have to go buy my own faucet so that way he knows what I'm doing because he's not going to sell me that. Oh, wait. So this is the way it goes. So they knock this out first. Oh, wait. So I'm not going to have a vanity as soon as it's installed. I got to wait for the sink and the countertops. So you understand things a little bit better.
Right. Yeah, no, it's good. And to do anything and make it fun, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So how many episodes have you had?
Well, right now we have, I believe, 7 or 8 or maybe 9. But it's just because, life happens. I haven't been consistent. We're planning on it. But we have about 9 episodes, but they're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. We're working on our 10th episode right now.
Great. We could definitely link to that in the show notes so everybody here watching can start watching yours and stuff. And look, it's great. And when you get to do fun things with cool people, that also makes work exciting and makes work feel like the was not work, right? Yeah, it's exactly. So, Alvaro, what advice would you have for anybody who's listening to this, who just, it could be somebody just general business principles. Maybe it's a college kid. Maybe it's who's listening, who's not really sure where to go or what to do in life. Maybe it's someone who wants to get into the construction, industry.
Yeah.
Right? But just general, what advice would you have for people?
Well, I'll say 2 things. One of them, I already said it. So let's get it out of the way. It's you got to work. You got to do the work. You can't expect for things to happen if you don't put in your own time and you don't dedicate yourself to your craft. And then number 2, in my industry, and I'm sure in every other industry that is well put together, my industry, there's a lot of money, right? So when you get hired to do, if you're a 25-year-old kid, a lot of money for you might be whatever. Let's say $5,000. Right?
It's all relative.
Right. It's all relative. But you have to be careful when you're going into business. Number one thing in business for me is how you manage your cash, how you manage your money. And if you're getting into my industry, you're going to see a lot of cash thrown at you, and very fast. If you're good, very fast. And you could get, you can start going in different directions and start believing that, oh, now I'm this shit. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. No, it's okay.
Now I'm doing this much money. Now I can buy the cars and I'm telling you because I did it. And it's just not a good scenario because now you're like in debt. Now you've got personal issues. Now you got, it's just a mess. Now you don't know where to focus because, all right, should I pay my car? Is it going to be repoed this month? Or should I pay my supplier for the floors he gave me at the moment? Whatever the case may be, you have to be careful with the way you manage your cash.
Well, especially too, because you're getting paid, but then that money has to go out to pay the subs and the materials.
Correct.
So you have to also, I would say, know the profit margin.
Right.
Yeah. So who taught you that? Did you just learn and figure it out on your own? Or you guys are taught?
I kind of figured it out. I mean, there's a few mentors in my life that have taught me a couple things, but I kind of figured this out on my own because, like I said, I made those mistakes. So, I had support where I could probably figure it out, maybe borrow some money or whatever the case was at the time. But I figured it out as I went. Like, so if you hire me, let's say a square number, you giving me $100,000 project right now, and you're giving me right away before we even put a nail in any of your walls, you're giving me $30,000 for me to start to organize, right? So that money has nothing to do with me. Like that's not even money for me to pay anything. That's money for me to function in a way that we're gonna start to manage your project.
Right.
And then the more money we get is just to pay off the project. And then our margins, we gotta know our margins. You definitely have to know. That's a big pointer right there. You have to know your margins because making that kind of money. My wife always told me, I'm putting in this much money in the bank. And she's like, yeah, you're putting all that money in the bank, but it's all going
It's not yours, right? It's going out to
right. I know. It's like, well, but wait a minute.
I'm sure your profit doesn't come until the last payment, so the job is completed because you got to pay everybody else first to set it up.
Correct.
I can see the immature entrepreneur or business owner not really understanding that and seeing a number in a bank account, and then the temptation of spending that.
Yeah, let's take a weekend in Mexico. Let's go enjoy yourselves.
Right.
Okay, you got to be careful.
You have to be disciplined.
Yes,
right. Absolutely. So I think that's some absolutely fantastic advice for the listeners out here and just for anybody. I mean, again, these are real stories, real business owners, successful people, and we've had some lawyers on, which is great. We've had some doctors on, which is great, but I love to have a wide variety of people to give different aspects of just what success means and how, people can learn from each other.
Yes.
So it's fantastic. So do you have any other kind of final parting words, and when or what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, a couple ways, obviously, a phone call, but the easiest thing to do is to Google me, Casa Bella Design Group, or www.casabella.com. That's our website. We're doing the podcast. That's the Renovation Revolution. And then we also got our social media, everything through social media, as the website is Casa Bella DG. It stands for Design Group, Casa Bella DG, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. And we try to stay relevant.
I'm sure your Instagram has to be good with just seeing some gorgeous.
It could be better.
Things. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that is there. I thought you were gonna go the other direction. Yeah, you probably filming in your projects and put that. I'm not doing that. I should be doing that. But the finished product is there. It looks beautiful. Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. No, you definitely should. And if you're doing it as you're doing it, also with a little bit of entertainment value, a little bit of comedy, people will start watching even more. So there's a few people that I post that are just entertaining.
Right. Yeah. So it's a couple guys doing it, and they do really good. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, thanks so much. Any other final parting words for?
Well, I mean, I'll say, something that for people that is looking for a guy like me out there, just do your research, and nowadays it's so easy to just any area. Doesn't have to be for a general contractor. Any area you could go and do your own research, find out what it is that you want to do, see what people are saying out there. That's actually pretty cool. A thing to do for anybody that's listening also.
Perfect. Well, Alvaro, thank you so much for being here. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
Oh, yeah.
As much fun as the listeners will have. And again, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.